Your camera's off.
Is it off? No, it's on. There we are. Hey, no big deal.
Scott, you look too serious.
It's because I always am.
No, you're not.
That's fair.
Morning, everyone.
How is everybody?
Excited. Very excited.
Excellent. Hello, Brenda, Holly. Alistair can't see you. Natalie and Benjamin can't see you.
That works.
There's Alistair. Are you at work?
Yeah, I'm at work. I might just listen in if that's okay, Claire.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine.
Good.
Natalie, you want
And Natalie and Benjamin are there. They're at home. I'm sure they're going to jump on here.
Yeah, I see they're there. I just can't see. I can't see them.
Mhm.
Did Amanda get to Morocco okay, Scott?
She did. She had a very long travel day. I think she said she had 30 minutes of sleep in 36 hours. So she finally got some sleep last night.
That's a long way. So for the rest of you, you haven't met Scott yet. His wife Amanda went to Morocco on Sunday, right? Yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes. So she's not here, but Scott and Amanda are taking Purple Collar, who is Tilly 2. So we have Tilly 1 and Tilly 2. And Nilly is now Nyla. So we don't have Tilly, Tilly, Lily all in a row, which was really hard to say. But they all learned their names, all three of them. They didn't know which was which, but it worked pretty well. The kids are doing great. Rella was not too fond of them last night. They woke up at 1:30, 3:30, and 6, all with a conversation. And I think that's just because we've got Raven in there with her new puppy, and what we did was we swapped out so that 3 of the puppies from Joya's litter are joining Raven and her singleton, just to help relieve the pressure on Joya, and also so that singleton is not on her own. And another girl again. So we've got all girls except for 2 in the last 19 puppies. And so, yeah, it's a whole lot of girls, but the kids are doing well. The crate training is going pretty well. Nyla just needs a tummy rub all the time when she goes in. And that's it. Oh, I know who's not here. Sally's not here. All right. Okay, so we'll get started. Because I have to take the puppies to the vet after we finish this. So I sent you off the email about that. And then later today, you'll all get your first email about the food boxes. So you get one every day from between now and pick up. Just because I don't want it to be completely overwhelming, and it's a bit to read through each one. So I've kind of broken it down. There's only one that really has a lot of information into it, so kind of ease you into that and make it a little bit easier as you go along. So we're going to go through everything in sections. So if you have any questions related to the particular topic we're on, then just ask those questions then. And if there is something you have a question about that we don't cover, then at the end, just obviously go ahead and ask those. And don't be shy. It's way more fun when everybody talks. So we're going to start off with the contract. Everybody's had a chance to read through that. And the primary thing I want to say about the contract is, first of all, when you go to your vet, take the contract with you. And the reason I say that is you don't have to take the whole thing, but just take the schedule that, second, someone else is just joining us there. Hang on. There we go. There's Sally. So what I want you to do is to be sure to take schedule D, and that's the schedule that talks about the vaccinations for the puppies. Hi, Sally. Hi, Tom.
Hi.
So though we're just starting to talk about the contract, I'll just get you guys to mute yourselves there, and then when you have ever you have a question, obviously unmute yourself. So if you take Schedule D from your contract with you to your vet, that helps your vet understand that indeed you do have a contract that does need to be followed, and they can read through it and see what it is. We've had both in Vancouver proper, we had two people going to a vet in Yaletown, and the vet took the puppy away from the family. So like took the puppy in the vet and then proceeded to give them every single vaccination they could, deworm them and give them Bravecto. So of course their health warranty was entirely voided. And they were beside themselves upset about that. So just you should be there with your vet and your puppy. If you ever have a vet who suggests that they take the puppy somewhere else, just say, you're not comfortable with that and that you would like to be where your puppy is. That's the only time I've ever heard of it happening, and that particular vet is no longer a vet. The family made a formal complaint and they lost their license. So I don't expect that's going to occur, and there shouldn't be any issues that you run into with your vet. You just want to be sure that they understand what your contract is saying. Vets have a higher tolerance level for various things than I do. And that's why you may have a vet say, oh, well, we can do this or we can do that. There's lots of evidence suggesting that when you vaccinate, when all sorts of things together, every vaccine loses some of its efficacy. So that's why we have you separate them. It also reduces the risk of your puppy having a reaction to the vaccine. So today they're all going to get their first 4-way, which is just one shot. And the 4 vaccines are contained in that one shot. So they'll have that today, and then they'll also get their microchips. And if you're wondering what their microchip looks like, I'll show you. They're quite small. These ones are called microchips. Mini microchips. Of course, they're called microchips. They're a smaller size, and what happens is it's just this little device, and it gets inserted just between their shoulder blades, and the chip is up in this part here, and it floats around in their body. Usually it stays pretty much in the shoulder blade area, but they do move around. They can go anywhere in their body. And then it can be scanned anywhere in the world now. Originally, long time ago, each country had their own and the different scanners, which was kind of useless. So now they go everywhere. The dogs that we've had that have gone lost and been found through their microchip have all been in the US when people were vacationing, and the dog didn't know where they were, and they took off. So the microchip will, once you take your puppy home, you'll register the puppy into your name. Until then, they're all registered in my name, and my name stays on there forever. So if ever your puppy goes lost and they can't find you, then they'll contact me. If they can't find me, then they'll contact the vet clinic. And then the dog will be returned to whomever it is that they can contact. The other thing is the parasite control. So your puppies will all have their fecals done today. And we always have had a clear fecal, but if ever somebody didn't have a clear fecal, we'll let you know, and we'll let you know what the treatment protocol would be for that. But I anticipate their fecals will all be clear. So that means they don't need to be wormed again. Lots of vets like to worm dogs 1,000 times. They don't need to be wormed that many times. You do not need to check your puppy again for worms until they're a year old. When you do your 1-year checkup with your puppy, then you want to take a fecal sample in, have it looked at, and have your vet determine if there's anything that needs to be treated. If during the year your puppy is sick and they have diarrhea and you see slimy, mucousy poo, that's the time then you want to, if ever you have your puppy with a bad poo, don't pick it up and throw it away. Pick it up with a Ziploc inside out, and then turn it the right side and zip it and put it in the fridge. maybe it's something else as well if that bothers you. And then phone your vet and tell them what's going on and ask them to run a fecal. Usually you don't have to take your dog in. It costs you less if you don't have to. If they ask you to, okay, bring your dog in. But unless that happens, you can safely assume that your dog does not have worms. When dogs are on a raw diet, they tend to be much more protected. I do not worm my dogs. The last time my dogs were wormed would have been, they haven't been wormed, I don't believe, since they were puppies. I'm trying to think if anybody's ever had anything, but no, I don't believe they have. Similarly with their vaccines. In the olden days, people used to boost dogs' vaccines every year. You don't need to do that. And indeed, if you do that, what happens is you're reducing the efficacy of that vaccine. So the more times you vaccinate your dog, the less effect it has on your dog. So instead, what we do is have you do what's called a titer test, and that's simply a blood draw. The blood's taken, it goes to a lab just outside of Vancouver. It's called Blue Mountain, and they run it and they check to see that your dog does have immunity. You just check for parvo and distemper. If they have immunity for parvo and distemper, then they have immunity for everything else. I can tell you, I've never ever had a dog that's needed a booster ever. So the chances of your dog needing one for the rest of their life after their third shot is pretty negligible. What happens is your numbers, the level of immunity might drop somewhat, but that's because your dog's not being exposed to the risk. So their body conserves energy and doesn't bother producing as many titers. But as long as you have some there, you're good to go and you don't need to worry about anything. Rabies is different. If you do choose to vaccinate your dog against rabies, we do ask that you wait till your dog is 6 months old. The reason for that is for your dog to be able to develop a little bit of immunity and a stronger internal system to deal with that vaccine. The rabies vaccine is the highest risk one and the hardest for dogs to deal with. So we'd like the dog to be older in order to be able to have the best response to it possible. You can no longer enter the United States with a dog prior to them being 6 months old, so there's no reason to vaccinate them prior to that for any reason. Most of us aren't going to the States anyways right now, and you now have to get your picture taken if you go, and pay to have your picture taken. Similarly, fleas and ticks. So you'll see in your contract there that Bravecto, NexGard, Simparico Trio, there's many brand names for this drug, are all prohibited. Again, this is a different tolerance level. Vets sell these products. They're amazingly convenient. When they first came out, I was so excited because when we lived in Cowichan, we had a bazillion fleas, or not fleas, rather ticks in our property. We had 5 acres. It was heavily forested, and our dogs were getting ticks all the time. So I was so excited when this came out. However, we used it, and it was approved for breeding dogs. And the 2 girls who had litters both had completely deformed puppies and puppies who died dreadful deaths. So we went and did necropsies on them. We sent them off to UC Davies to have them studied to find out what had gone wrong, and it was the Bravecto. Since then, there's many studies that have been done. It has an FDA warning. 25% of dogs who take it do have a permanent neurological reaction. 12% of dogs who take it die. That's too high of a risk for me, so that is something that's not permitted under your purchase contract. It will void all of your warranties, and I will not like you. Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
Just going through all of these shots, is there a single place that we have the list of all the shots that are recommended for the dogs, or that they're going to have beforehand, something like that?
Yeah, it'll be in your health record that you get with your puppy, and it is the 4-way down.
The 4-way down. Okay.
Yeah, DAPP is what the vaccine is called. So it's parvo, distemper, adenovirus, and it's also actually listed in the email I sent you this morning about their wellness exam. If you look through that, it
Yep.
lists everything there.
Okay. And then the one other thing is just talking about shots before we go into kindergarten. Some of the places require all the shots to be had. Is that up to the certain age, or like would we be waiting on shots before we could get that started?
No, most kindergartens will require that you have the first shot done, and that's it. Because
Just the first. Okay.
yeah, because you cannot have more than that done because the dog's too young.
Okay. That's what I figured, but just
Yeah,
wanted to check.
no, good
Thanks.
questions. Kristen, you had a question too.
Thanks, Claire. Mine wasn't about the vaccines. It was just about the contract and the vet visit.
Yeah.
It had to do with spaying. So I've heard that it's really important to let females go through one cycle of menstruation first, just for joint health, bone health, all of those things. But I noticed in our contract that we have to provide proof of spay at 8 months, but a female could go into heat anywhere between 8 and 1. So I was curious your thoughts on that.
Okay, we'll get to that in a bit. And if I forget, make sure you remind me, but I'll do that as soon as we finish talking about Bravecto, okay?
Sounds good. Thank
Okay.
you.
So for the fleas and ticks, you still want something to protect your dogs. Generally speaking, you're not going to have a problem with fleas, but you can get them sometimes from the groomer. Groomers sometimes have a dog comes in and they don't know the dog has fleas, and before you know it, everybody who was there that day has fleas. That has happened to us. It's no reflection on the groomer. It's something that does happen. But generally speaking, you're not going to run into fleas in the areas where we are located. Ticks as well. So Tim and Marie, you'll probably run into ticks. Anyone who hikes, you'll run into ticks. So what we have you do is use a natural product. You can get it through Curated Canines. It's Canadian. It's made by a company called Eco Spa. They're in Quebec. It's really easy. It doesn't stink. It actually doesn't have a scent at all. You just spray it on your dog head to toe before you go out for your walk. And is it 100% effective? No. It's probably, I would say, about 90% effective. When we lived in Cowichan and we used it, we would find on our 3 dogs, they maybe a tick a month, and that was it. Now, fortunately, in British Columbia, we're really lucky in that the fleas that we have, the ticks rather, that we have here don't tend to carry Lyme's disease or any of the other awful things that ticks can give us. So if you do find a tick, all you need to do is take it off, flush it down the toilet, wash your hands, and you'll be fine. If you want, you can save the tick and take it to your vet and have it examined by I can't remember which ministry it is, but you can have it examined to make sure that there is nothing in the tick. I've never done that myself, but I know that is a service that is available. Let's hang on here. I forgot to turn off my sound on my phone. It's really, they're gross, disgusting things. If you go to your vet, you can find for, I think, about $6, a thing called a tick twister or a tick key. The twister, you just put it on the tick, twist it, and you're done. The other thing is if you have super, super fine tweezers, you can use those. It's a myth about putting Vaseline on them. If you do that, all that happens is they get paralyzed, the head gets buried in your dog, and it's the head that's the problem. So you have to be sure you pull the whole tick out. So that's it on the flea and ticks. But as I say, you can order, if you just go to Curated Canine's website, if you look for Eco Spa Tick, you'll find it. Anything you order from Curated Canines will be here when you pick your puppy up. So if you want to do that, you can do that before Saturday. Now, Kristen, back to the spay question. So yeah, you'll find all sorts of information on all sides of the topic related to spaying and neutering your dog, when it should be done, and on and on. So originally when ALDs were first available in Canada, we used to spay and neuter them at week 7. I have puppies who've had that done who are still alive, many of them. It was only in 2020 that we stopped doing that. Never had a single problem with a single dog. And I did that previously with my other breeds of dogs, so it's hundreds and hundreds of dogs. So anecdotally, I can tell you that there's no issue. What you're reading refers to dogs who are going to mature to a larger size and who are over 60 pounds. I do not think that, well, I know your dog's not going to be 60 pounds. I do not think that your females need to go through a cycle in order to have any benefit that is worth there's no ROI on waiting for a year. Going through a season is a pain in the neck, I can tell you. It's messy. You have to go through an awful lot with your dog, and there is always a chance your dog will become pregnant. Everybody thinks, oh, no, she won't. I'll look after my dog. I can't tell you how you can just walk out the door, and if there's an intact male within a mile, they will all be there in a matter of a second, and they will knock you off your feet. They will do anything to get to that girl, and they will be tied, and she will be pregnant in less than 10 seconds. However, if you're a breeder and you want the boy and the girl to tie and make babies, they will not. But if you are a family and you do not want your dog to become pregnant, she will. So what we've done in consultation with our reproduction vet is arrive at a time where we're generally safe and that the girl is not going to cycle. And we've allowed her to develop enough so that her joints, and the joints are not an issue, it's more the hormones, but that her hormones are along the way enough that we're not going to run into anything related to incontinence, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why we're at the 8-month mark. Now, this is something that Morel, that's the name of our vet, she and I are constantly exploring this topic. We're always aware of it. She attends things that are way past my pay grade. I attend a lot of things that I can at least understand what they're talking about to make sure that we're not missing something, because it is a subject that's being studied fairly extensively. And if anything comes out that there's some enormous conclusive scientific evidence that says, oh my gosh, we've been doing it wrong all these years, then we would change how we were approaching things. It's also a cultural thing. Interestingly, in Scandinavian countries, it's illegal to ever spay or neuter your dog. And it's also illegal to ever put them in a crate. So there are some, and it's also illegal to vaccinate them before they're 6 months old. So many cultural differences. The way they do it in Scandinavia is far better. Except for the crate aspect, I don't agree with that. My dogs all love their crates and would be sad if they didn't have them. But it would be nice if we could all do that. In Scandinavian countries, they have no shelters, they have no stray dogs, blah, blah. It's just we don't do that here in North America. So anyways, that's the reason for the 8-month thing on there. Anything else on the contract? Nope, everybody's good. All right. We're going to talk about safety and socializing your dog. So you can think of socialization like a vaccine. It's as important that you socialize your dog properly as it is that you vaccinate them. So everybody wonders, well, how can I get my dog out and about when they don't have their full immunity? And just to be clear, their immunity won't be in place until 10 days after their last shots. Their first shot, basically all it does is negate their maternal antibodies. Their second shot, they get a little bit of protection. Their third shot, by the time it's taken hold, then they are protected. So you mostly have to use some common sense here. And I don't want you to keep your puppy in a bubble. It's worse to keep your puppy in a bubble than it is to get them out there. Lots of people think, oh, well, I'll only bring my puppy around vaccinated dogs. Well, as we all know from COVID, it doesn't matter if you're vaccinated, you can still shed the disease. So what really matters is, where has the dog that your puppy is interacting with been lately? So just like when you came for your family visit, I asked you to not to have gone to a shelter, a vet clinic, a boarding, a groomer, all those things. Those are all the things you want to be sure that the dog your puppy's interacting with hasn't been to. The vet obviously is full of sick dogs. Boarding facilities, groomers, daycares have huge numbers of who knows who dogs. You probably know your neighborhood. You may not know all your neighbors, but you know your neighborhood. Tim and Marie, I know your neighborhood, for instance. I know your neighborhood's totally fine. I don't know the rest of your neighborhoods that well. Tim and Marie live very close to where we used to live, and another one of our dogs lives where they are, so that's why I know where they are at. But you generally know what your neighborhood is like. You don't ever want to go to a dog park. You don't ever want to go to somewhere that's called the pet area. Those are the places to avoid. Dogs get sick by stepping on poop and then licking their feet. So that's what you need to be avoiding. You want to be not where there's a whole lot of dog poo. And be aware that on the wet coast, when it rains, dog poo sometimes gets a little mucky and can be in the grass. So it's not quite as easy to spot. So just make sure you're not somewhere where there's a huge concentration of dogs. So if you're going on the ferry when you go home, you do not take your puppy to the pet area. You take a pee pad, you put that on the tarmac or in the back of your vehicle and let your puppy go to the bathroom on the pee pad, not where other dogs are relieving themselves. So that's the main thing. And if you're taking your puppy to play with your friends' puppies or family dogs, just make sure that if one of those dogs poops, that that's picked up immediately and that your puppy isn't anywhere near it. The other things that puppies can run into is they can get coccidia. We've had coccidia lots of times with our puppies, and that comes from rabbit and deer poop. And there's, it's around. The world won't end. Coccidia is definitely not fatal. The main thing you really want to watch out for is marijuana poisoning. That is what most puppies end up with far more than any diseases. Because marijuana is legal now, people discard their butts just like they do cigarette butts. And marijuana has a huge attraction for dogs. If any of you use marijuana in your home, you need to be aware of that as well. They will be drawn to it and they will eat it like that. And they only need a small amount as a puppy to become poisoned. And the way you can tell if your dog has consumed marijuana is they'll be lethargic. Their eyes might roll up in the back of their heads. Their head might loll. If they're very young, they may just lie right down and not move. I don't know if any of you were watching Rowan's litter that we had, and there was a puppy in there called Pom Pom. When Pom Pom lives in New West, and within 1 week of being home, Pom Pom had marijuana poisoning twice. Once she almost died, but she's fine. We've have so many dogs, so many puppies every week get marijuana poisoning. So that is really what you need to watch out for. Other than that, you just really want to use common sense. And the one place that you really have to be particularly careful about is the vet office. The vet has sick dogs. So your puppy, you never want their feet on the ground at all at the vet. Your puppy stays in their crate. Bring your blanket. All of you will get a blanket. Bring your blanket with you to the vet. Put that on the table. Yes, the vet tech has cleaned the table, but they're not going to be perfect. So you want to make sure that you've got your puppy on their own blanket, not the vet's blanket or towel. And what I do before I go into the vet, and we'll do it today when we go with your guys, is when I get there, I phone and just say, hey, it's Claire, just coming in with an unvaccinated puppy, just double checking nobody's been in there with anything contagious today. Because you can't expect the front office staff to remember, oh yeah, you're coming in with a puppy who doesn't have immunity and Rover was in here with kennel cough. So that's your main thing you have to be very careful about is the vet clinic. If your puppy does pick something up, such as parvo, distemper is pretty much eradicated. Parvo is still around. If your puppy does get parvo, they will most likely survive after they go home. They're old enough. They'll be very, very sick, and it will be very expensive. One of my stud dogs got parvo from a coyote. The coyote had been I lived on 500 acres at this time. Coyote had been at the neighbor's place. The neighbor didn't vaccinate their dogs. Their dog had parvo. The coyote stepped in the poo. Coyote came over to my place. Some of the poo came off his foot at my place. My puppy, Checkers was his name, went out, of course, got it on his foot, licked it, and he got parvo. So he was 7 weeks in isolation at the vet, but he made it. So your puppy will survive. It's just not something that you want to go through. Not good for your puppy, not good for socialization. The other thing for safety, no collars, no harnesses on in the house. So many dogs get their collars and their harnesses stuck in various things in the house and choke to death. So make sure you don't have those on, and particularly never ever while they're in their crate, even if it's just for a short period of time. Make sure you do not put your dog in a crate in your car. That is not safe at all. Crates will break in an accident. They will kill your dog. They will fly around like shrapnel, kill you. And they are the worst thing you can transport your dog in. Make sure your puppy is in a booster seat. They're properly tethered in the booster seat. It also, and everyone in Head Start, your puppy will all be trained to ride in a booster seat with a harness and properly tethered in your car. The booster seat that comes in the puppy starter kit will last your puppy for life, and they'll be much happier riding in it. And we'll let you know if your puppy prefers to be raised in their booster seat so they can see out, or if they prefer to be down where they can't see. Each dog is an individual with that. And also no harnesses that have a chest plate. Only a step-in harness. Again, you can get the harness from Curated Canines to be sure you have the right one. But if you're not getting it from there, absolutely nothing with a chest plate. The reason for that is the chest plate pushes your puppy's shoulders forward like this. So it's kind of like getting a hunchback as you're growing up. Your puppy's posture will not be right. As an older dog, they'll end up with all sorts of joint issues in their shoulders, and they won't have proper forward extension. There's also some nonsense in marketing about a front clip harness and how your puppy won't pull when they're on a front clip. It's completely erroneous information. That's a great marketing gig. And what that does is pull everything forward, constricts your puppy's chest so that they can't breathe. Scott, you got a question?
When you say chest plate, is that the harnesses that kind of wrap around their whole body, or is it a specific type of harness with something hard on it?
No, it's not hard. It's a harness that has anything that's on their chest. So what you want is a harness that looks like nothing. It's just a step in. It goes under their arms and up on the back and clips on their back. So there's nothing on their neck and nothing on their chest.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
You can, if you if you just go on the Curated Canines website and look for step-in harness. Actually, I think if you look at comfort harness, then you'll see the pictures there of what it is that they look like. Okay, any questions on any of that? No, everybody's okay? All right. Insurance, you'll get a code for the insurance on Friday because you can't activate it until Friday. When you get the email with the code, please activate it right away, and please make sure that your insurance is activated on Friday. Scott and Sally, for your dogs, make sure you do activate it so that your puppy is insured while they are with Taylor. But please make sure you do that. I won't release your puppy to you until you have done that. And that's not because I'm trying to sell you insurance from Trupanion. I don't get anything from them. It's because puppies are very squiggly, and very often we have puppies who get injured in the first couple of days, if not the very first day. And the last thing I want is for you to have your puppy and not be covered. Should you get insurance after your 30 days free is up? Totally a personal decision. My general rule of thumb is if you have access to $10,000, you don't mind spending that $10,000 and you can put it back right away, you don't need the insurance. If coming up with 10 grand is a pain for you and you're going to be annoyed and it's going to take you 7 years to put it back again, get the insurance. If you do stick with Trupanion, I would take this time between now and Saturday to do a little research on companies. All of them have a different shtick to them, and some pluses and minuses. And it really comes down to what works for you best. So Costco members can get pet insurance. It's considerably less expensive than Trupanion. However, it has a threshold that it pays out at. Trupanion has no threshold. One of my friends had a dog, a golden retriever dog who had cancer, and they gave that dog chemotherapy for about 2 years. And anyways, their bill was over $250,000, and Trupanion paid the whole thing, no questions asked. So is that valuable to you and worth paying the higher premium, or are you okay if there's a limit of, say, an $8,000 payout? These are the things that you want to take a look at. I can tell you right now on Vancouver Island, an emergency visit is roughly going to guarantee you that you're spending $5 grand. If you're in Vancouver, you're looking more at 68, say $7,000. If you're in Calgary, you're looking at about the same rate as what we're paying on the island here. If you go into emergency because your dog has marijuana poisoning, you're probably only looking at $800 to $1,200. If they have to be hospitalized because they're really young, then you're looking at more around an $8,000 to $10,000 bill. So it takes no time for vet costs to pile up. So just all things to keep in mind. Scott.
So with it, the Trupanion thing needs to be activated. Were we given that email yet, or is that something that still needs to come?
No, that's
Don't
what I
believe
said. I
much.
would be sending that on Friday because you can't activate it until Friday.
Okay, and then that's for the 1 free month, and then after the month, then we would either continue it or get our own insurance.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly. And they're really good. They will not bug you if you say no thanks. They won't bug you. Everybody okay on insurance? Any questions? No. Okay. Trainers, make sure you have your training all lined up. January 15th is when you need to be starting by, preferably earlier. The sooner the better. And I mean, not the day you take your puppy home. If you're here on the island, the place I recommend most highly is Communicanine or Taylor, one or the other. If you aren't on the island, if you don't have your trainer yet, post on the community Facebook page and ask for recommendations in your area. Just make sure you register. And this does need to be a group class, not one-on-one training. Sally, did Taylor get back to you with who to use in Calgary?
No, I haven't heard anything yet
Okay.
on that. Can I just ask one quick question about the harness? Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
digressing here. How do we know if we get the small or the extra small?
You have to take your puppy with you and fit the harness to them. But if you're ordering from Communicanine, from Curated Canines,
Yeah.
it's the extra small. They will all
Okay.
be in an extra small. Each brand has different sizing, but for the brand that Curated Canines carries, it's the extra small size.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, great. And if you want, Sally, Taylor can get a harness. Did you get a PSK?
What's the starter
The
kit?
puppy starter kit.
No, I didn't.
If-
I've been ordering things separately.
Okay, so if you want just to order the extra small, and then before your puppy goes home,
Yeah.
Taylor will fit it to her. Same for you, Scott. If you order one from Curated Canines, it'll be here, and then Taylor will fit it to Tilly before you pick her up.
So should we just go right onto their website and order it and then they know, or should we
Yep.
say to you now?
Nope, you go ahead and do that right from
Okay.
Curated Canines.
Okay, thank you.
Exercise for your puppy, important, of course, but we have to remember this goes back to what Kristen was talking about with joints and things like that. We have to be sure that we're mindful that when your puppy goes home, none of their bones are touching. There's a cool picture on the internet where you can see their joints and they're like this far apart. And that's why puppies are so cute and tumbly and, they are kind of clumsy looking. So it's absolutely critical that you protect that joint growth and you don't overexercise them. So walk should be 15 minutes at the most. Preferably during that 15 minutes, you vary your pace. Probably for the first while. Your puppy will make sure that happens anyways, because they're not going to stand beside you and trot along and look up at you and sit whenever you stop. At least not for now. They're going to go at all sorts of different paces. Just hang on for half a sec. My mom just came up. Okay. Hi, Joya. You got to go downstairs, honey. Spirit, stop. Joya. Hi. There you go. Sorry, just take out time for mom. So Joya wanted to come and wonder why it wasn't me taking her out. Yeah, so your puppy's going to vary that pace for you naturally. And then if your puppy's really walking well as they get a bit older, just go fast, slow, kind of like if you were training, if you will. And then you want to add 5 minutes to your walk time for every month. Until they're 6 months. Once they're 6 months, you're good to go for taking a walk for a good hour with your puppy then. Hills are fine, vary the terrain, and only walk with a harness, no collar. Your puppy does not ever need to have a collar. You can clip all their ID onto their harness. Collars break their furs, collars choke them. There is no purpose of having a collar for your dog other than vanity if you want to have a pretty one. Now, I will say that I put collars on my dogs when they go to the groomer, just because it's easier for my groomer than trying to figure out how does everybody's harness work, how does it clip, which is the front, which is the back. So I put a collar on them, then they just have little pretty ones. But that's the only time my dogs ever wear a collar. And because you are getting a dog who's super cute, you want to be really sure that you don't wreck up their fur around their necks. And now when you're going for a walk, make sure you remember a couple of things. First thing is you're taking your dog for a walk. This isn't for your exercise. This is for your dog to have a good time. You want them to have what we call a sniffari. So we live through our eyes and our mouths. Dogs live through their noses. So 15 minutes of sniffing is the same as 45 minutes of physical exercise for your dog. That's how you can stimulate your dog and also tire them out. Sniffing is way more important than doing anything else. Yes, when they're young like this, they need to be able to run around like lunatics in the house and outside in the backyard and wear off that physical energy. But they also need to get their mind fulfilled, and that comes through their nose. So when you first go out on your walk, please don't ask them to behave. Let them go all over the place and zig and zag and sniff everything. And this is where your long line comes in, because you can clip up your puppy on the 30-foot long line. That gives them the illusion that they're free, obviously not if there's traffic. And then they can go all over the place and they'll double back and they'll do all the crazy things that dogs do. And just let them go nuts sniffing stuff, because that tells them everything. And then when you're coming back from your walk, that's when you want to clip up onto your 6-foot training lead and then ask them to somewhat go straight forward and somewhat near you. Right now, they're too young. You can't be asking them to be doing that until they're over 3 months. It's not fair to them. They have no idea what it is you're talking about. You just want them to be comfortable and moving forward. Kristen.
Sorry, Claire. Just so I'm clear on the puppies, so I don't hurt it. So really, after 6 months, is that when we're able to start taking it into like hikes and into the woods and stuff like that, like into that uneven terrain?
Yeah, you can use uneven terrain. There's totally nothing wrong with uneven terrain. You just don't want to go for very far.
Yeah. Okay.
So like that's when it's really handy if you have a pup pack and you can just pack your puppy around in your pup pack once they get tired.
Okay, perfect. And then same with the house. We currently have a baby gate set up just so it's not doing the stairs without us.
Yes.
Is it around the 6 month mark then that it's safe to remove the gate?
Yeah, no stairs at all for the first 6 months. I mean, if you've got one or two that are out the backyard to where they're going to pee, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But no staircases. You have to carry your puppy up and down if your bedroom happens to be on a different floor from where your living area is. Then at 6 months, yeah, you can take the gate down as long as they're not going up and down repeatedly. This is the main cause of hip dysplasia. It's genetics has got about somewhere around 20 to 30% role in hip dysplasia, and the remainder of that comes from environment. And Sally, for you, really important that you're not having your puppy running through the snow excessively, because that's sort of similar to the strain on the joints as it is going up and down the stairs. I have a puppy who's in Calgary, and they couldn't figure out what was going on with their dog. And the dog doesn't have hip dysplasia, but the last 3 discs in his back have all compressed because he was running through the snow so much. So he's doing like, you know how puppies and dogs love to do this in the snow, and they were letting the puppy do that when he was young, and that has now wrecked his spine. Scott?
With it, so I did have the question about the stairs, but also in the contract it talks about repetitive exercise,
Yeah.
and not doing that. So is that what you were talking about with not letting what does it mean when you're asking us not to let the dogs do competitive exercise for the first 6 months?
So repetitive exercise would be if you were going for a run with your dog. Lots of people like to run with their dogs, or they bike and have their dog on a lead. So nothing like that, and not great long walks. So you want to do that 5 minute rule. So 15 minutes now, and then 5 minutes for each month up to 6 months. So, and same thing like the snow or swimming, not a whole lot of swimming activities either until they're 6 months.
Okay.
Anybody got any questions on that? Nope, good to go. All right.
Sorry, Claire, one more before
Yeah.
we move on. I've heard that these dogs can be very ball focused. So I'm assuming again, no chasing the ball, or is it okay just to throw the ball once, it plays with it and let it be?
Yeah, go ahead and throw the ball for like 10 minutes. And then that's it. And yes, they can become very ball focused. If you have a dog who's you don't want them to become like a border collie where they're must have ball.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like Ripple is ball obsessed, and I take her balls away because otherwise that she's just a lunatic, and everything else in her world is gone except for this laser focus on the ball. So I'll take them all away in the house, I'll take them all away from outside, and then I'll reintroduce them. Fortunately, she's princessy enough, so when we have another dog here who chases the ball, she goes, well, I'm not going to play. It's just too much. So she does regulate herself somewhat, but yeah, you don't want them to be like a GSP or a border collie where they're complete lunatics. And it's easy for them to do that. And it's really easy for us too, lots of times if I'm like, oh damn, I don't have time to take them out for a walk, I just go out in the backyard and I throw the ball and figure, oh, that's good. So it's really easy for us to sort of fall into that trap as well. And these guys do all like the ball. Mandy is very ball enthusiastic. She's not obsessed, but she's very enthusiastic about the ball. And the girls all have that. The girls are all very much like their mom, except for Nessie, and Nessie is much more like her dad, but the others are all very much like Mandy. Okay, everybody okay on all that? Yeah, okay, we're going to talk about sleeping and alone time. So these are usually the two things that everybody struggles with the most. And your puppy, as soon as you walk out the door on Saturday, is immediately going to be training you. They have been training us since since Mandy went home. They've been working on training us. We, however, are tough nuts. You guys are all a lot more vulnerable to those big brown eyes and those cute little ways. They're pretty irresistible. They're very cute, and they will make sure that they're trying to get their way. So when you do leave them alone, other than Nessie and Winnie, you're probably going to get some protests. Nessie and Winnie are both very independent, spirited, and they're like, oh, you're over there? I don't care. Oh, you're leaving? Oh, okay, I'll do something else. Nessie in particular is like that. They're both extremely cuddly and affectionate, but they don't. They will also both go outside on their own and play on their own far more than the others are. The others are much more like what I call normal puppies at this age. So they'll yell at you. I can hear them yelling at Reynolds right now. They'll yell at you when it's time to eat, which is fine. That's a good thing. They'll yell at you if you plop them in the X pen and walk away, and they'll be like, what? Excuse me. So how do you deal with all of this? So the first key thing is they've got to be ready to be separated from you. And I don't mean that you're leaving and going shopping. I mean, they're in an X pen and maybe you're working or maybe you're making dinner, whatever you're doing. All the Head Start puppies come up in the office here with me and they have to learn how to entertain themselves. And Winnie only had to do it once. The others are still learning. They will fuss at me for the first little bit, but the main key is they've got to be ready to be in there. And by ready, I mean they're tired. You've taken them out, you've played outside, you're inside if it's raining, they've gone for a walk, they've sniffed stuff, they've been fed, all their needs are met. You know what their schedule is, and you're like, okay, it's at 10 o'clock when my dog goes for her morning nap. So that's when I'm going to schedule my conference call for. I'm not going to have my Zoom meeting at 8 o'clock when my dog is still like, let's go. So being flexible and adapting to them for the first 6 months is really key to being successful as a parent. So you want to wear them out and then you put them in the X pen. And for the first few times, you want to be right beside them where they can still see you. So when they're in the X pen up here in the office, they're right beside me. They're not like behind me or anything like that. I'm right here next to them. You want to spend at least the first 5 days to a week with them at home before you start going out of their sight and leaving them in the X pen. The crate is only for sleeping. We don't use the crate during the day. Now, some people really like the idea of putting their dog in a crate during the day. And if you really want to, obviously I'm not there and I can't stop you. I just know from experience when you are getting your puppy used to sleeping in a crate at night, you're going to be more successful if the crate is only used at night, and during the day they're in their donut bed and in an X pen. So but it's up to you. If you want to put them in the crate during the day, that's fine. It's not what I recommend, but you do you. It's your dog. But after you've had them home for 5 days to a week, then that's when you start just going out of their sight for a minute or two. And then you come back into their sight and then you just extend that time. Tom, you got a question.
Just wondering, when they're sleeping in the crate at night, do you keep the door of the crate closed or open?
Yeah, so for sleeping at night, you do keep the door of the crate closed. That's what we're working on with the puppies now. Sometimes puppies like to have a blanket over their crate too. Can't tell you yet who does and who doesn't because I'm doing it both ways with them. Winnie, she's fine. She goes to sleep right away. She couldn't care less. Nyla requires some soothing first. Well, hopefully not have to do that by Saturday, but you may end up having to give her a tummy rub. I know that's awful before you close the door on her. Tilly 1, which is black collar. Tilly 1 takes a little while longer to settle. Tilly 2, who is purple, is really good. She settles with no problem. She couldn't care less if you have the blanket over her or not. But the main thing when you're getting ready for bed is this is the biggest playtime of the day. So if you want to be in bed by 11 o'clock at night, you're going to start getting your puppy ready for bed at 10. And you're going to wake them up because they'll have been sleeping in the evening, and you take them outside or inside, whatever you're doing, and you're going to have the biggest rip roar play of the whole 24 hours. You're going to get down on the floor with them. You're going to play tug. You're going to wrestle. You're going to chase the ball. You're going to be so exciting. And you'll be like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You're going to wind them up and get them going. I know that sounds like that's backward to what you want to do. But what you're trying to do is to get everything out of them. And then after 30 minutes, they're going to start to be like, okay, I'm done with this now. They don't last for very long. Then you start to calm it down. Then you go to a quieter play for about 5-10 minutes. Then you start to get ready for bed. You go do your routine and let your puppy come and patter along with you. They're still going to be chewing on a chew and shaking it and rah, 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 rah. But they'll start to wind down because you are. And then just before you're ready to get into bed, you're going to pick them up, pop them outside for a final pee, and then you want to pick them up and put them in their crate. Now, if Nyla still needs it at that time, that's when you're going to sit on the floor and just rub her tummy for a couple of minutes till she falls to sleep. And if everybody else, you're just going to put them in. You're going to use your cue word, whatever word you want to use. Right now, all they're hearing is night, night. Close the door, and you get into bed. You can expect they're probably going to go, and all you want to do is reach beside you and just tap on the door of the crate and just say, hey, it's okay, I'm right here. You got to remember that they don't know who on earth you are, where they are, or what's going on. So it's a big change for them. And they just need to be reassured you're there. Now, what you might not know is during the night, puppies' bodies go into a semi-hibernation state. Puppies and dogs. And this is why dogs can go all night without pee, whereas, we might have to get up and go to the bathroom during the night, and our bladders are a lot bigger than theirs. But it's because they go into this semi-hibernation state, so everything shuts down and they don't have to go to the bathroom. The chances of your puppy having to go to the bathroom in the night are about 1 in 50. Very, very, very unlikely. They may cry because they've woken up and they're like, oh, wait a sec, where am I? Uh-oh, am I by myself? And that's when you just go, hey, it's okay, I'm right here. You're fine. Go to sleep. They might cry for a few seconds and then they'll go back to sleep. Now, if they amp themselves all up, if they're like just getting over the top, don't let that go on. Then maybe they do have to go to the bathroom. But don't think that they do. That should be your last thought. Because if you think they have to go to the bathroom, as soon as you take them out, they're going to go and you're going to say, well, Claire didn't know what she was talking about. Look, so and so's going to the bathroom. Whenever you take them out, they're going to go to the bathroom, regardless of whether they need to or not. So that's not what's going on, usually speaking. Generally, all they need is just a little reassurance. So you're probably with these guys going to get them to go to bed around, they go to bed around 11, but they're not really sleeping until 11:30, and they're pretty much ready to get up and go at 6. Uh, they will get longer, but that's about what they're doing right now. Um, Winnie will sleep in longer. You got lucky. She's pretty good. She's pretty relaxed about the whole thing. She's like, oh really? Yeah, I'm good. I don't need to get up right now. But the others are pretty much go, go, go. So those are the key things to remember for both alone time in the X pen and going to bed at night is make sure they're ready. If you're getting fussy and complaining, it's because you haven't met their needs before trying to get them to go down. Any questions on that? No? Okay.
Yeah, actually, Claire, just one
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
With our Labradoodle, the previous one, we did crate train him, was great. And as he got older, he wanted to go into his crate during the day. And even to the point at night, we wouldn't zip it up because he would just, that's his safe space. So
He would just stay there.
is that something that you can let that go as they get a little bit older and become, he just really enjoyed his crate.
Yeah. Same with my dogs. We have crates and beds in our bedroom. I'll just get you guys to put yourselves on mute there, Sally and Tom. Our guys just love their crates, and they go into them all the time. So we have crates and beds all over the house. I don't think we have a room without a crate in it. Beautiful decorating feature. But what I suggest is you close the door, and somewhere between month 4 and month 8, your puppy's going to tell you, I don't want to go in there. Nope, I'm a big dog now. You want to make sure that you're comfortable, that your dog is house trained enough that you can leave them out. And then what we do is we just take the door off the crate. They just snap right out. And then we leave it up to the puppy where they want to sleep. Ripple sleeps on the bed half the time and in her own bed the other half the time. She sleeps in a crate, and Spirit and Peanut usually doesn't move anymore. She's too old. But Spirit goes from her bed to the crate to her bed and occasionally up on our bed. So totally leave it up to them. It's really important that you let dogs feel they have some ownership of their own lives, because we tend to schedule everything. We say, this is when you're going to eat, this is what you're going to eat, this is when you're going outside, this is when you have a walk, blah, blah, blah. So if you let them have a little bit of feeling that they do have some control in their lives, it really goes a long ways to having a happier and more well-rounded dog. And choosing where they sleep is one of those things that's really easy to get them ownership of.
Yeah. Well, and we're looking at our calendar, there might be one night where we've got an event. And so that would say it's the end of January. Is it best to, obviously be too early for the dog to go to bed, have a neighbor come over and spend some time, that kind of thing, and then, put it in the X pen, they come in, and then.
Yes, ideally.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And if you're, if wherever you're going to, if you figure you might be late or whatever, Taylor's just up the road from you. She can always board Winnie. So she's always available, and it's all in the house. The dogs are in her bedroom with her. And her parents are incredible. In fact, the whole family is involved. So, so she's like, well, she's not just up the road from you. It's 25 minutes, but still close. She's a really good resource.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Good to know. Okay,
Claire, with the crate, so are you saying like when it's a puppy, close the crate over nighttime, but then once they get a little bit older, then you can potentially take off the crate door and leave it open overnight and let them go do what they want?
Yeah,
that's kind of what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. But the crate training is just when they're a puppy, keep the crate closed overnight and then go from there.
Yes, because otherwise they'll pee all over your house.
Yeah, we don't really want that. Okay,
No,
perfect.
preferably not. Natalie.
How often does the how often does Tilly snooze?
How
How
often
many
does she
times does she have
snooze?
a nap? Yeah,
Oh,
how often does she have a nap?
she has a nap 3 times a day. So their schedule is we wake up, we go outside, we run around, we come in, we eat, we go back outside, we play, we come in. They usually fart around with each other for a while and then they sleep. And then we do the same thing at lunch and we do the same thing at dinner. So they have a morning, afternoon, and evening sleep. And they're usually asleep for 2 hours and awake for, well, they're awake for more than an hour now. They're awake for like about an hour and a half now. Yesterday, they were, I don't know what was going on with them yesterday. They were all nutsy cuckoo yesterday. Brenda.
So are they getting a lunchtime feed as well?
Yeah, you're going to feed them 3 times a day until they're about 6 months old. Now, again, every puppy is different and they will tell you when they're ready to not eat lunch. They'll start not finishing their lunch or they'll look at it and go, no, thank you. And that's your cue to change over to feeding them twice a day. Usually what I do is, let's say they tell you at month 5 they don't want to eat lunch anymore. That's when I give them their bone as a snack, so they still have something in their tummy. So they eat. When you take your puppy home, I want you to put your puppy on your schedule. But roughly speaking, at the moment, they eat their breakfast at around between 7:30 and 8. Well, more 8, because we take them out and do stuff. So it's usually 8 by the time they eat. They eat their lunch around 12:30 and they eat their dinner at 5:30. And they're in bed by 10:30, 11. We're still usually doing stuff in there until 11. Especially now that we've got the other 2 litters in there. So we're in there later now. Sally and Tom.
I have a couple of questions. One is about your handmade bed.
Yeah.
And a while ago I had asked about getting one from you, so I wasn't sure if that was something that would be sent with Taylor or if you haven't had a chance because you've been
Yep.
busy.
Nope. You can definitely have that going with Taylor.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then about the food. So we have ordered the first 2 months of food.
Yep.
And how will that come? Like does it get mailed to us? Do we get it when we?
Oh, yeah, you'll get it when you get your puppy. Is your daughter picking your puppy up from Taylor? Is that?
No, I'm gonna be flying out.
Okay. So
Yeah.
when you get the puppy from Taylor, she'll have it all there. You just need to bring a suitcase to put it into, and then you check that bag.
Right. Okay. And then for future food, like if we wanted to then continue with the food after the first 2 months, how does that work when we're in Calgary, or does that not work?
Yeah, it works half and half. Anybody who doesn't live on the island can continue with all the freeze-dried foods, the treats, basically anything that's not frozen. They can't ship frozen to you. But all the frozen foods that are in the contract there are all readily available in Alberta, the Lower Mainland, everywhere. We don't have any weirdo brands that you can't buy at other places.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And no problem. Scott.
I'm just wondering about food. I know that there's like the food box with everything that's the complete meals and whatnot. Are the dogs allowed to, like, with this, are they allowed to have just like raw meat or like vegetables or things of that sort? Or is that something that should be discouraged?
That's something that should be discouraged. The reason for that is you're going to upset their systems, you're going to screw up their micronutrients, and you're going to be putting things into their body that gets everything out of whack. Once they're over a year old, if you want to give them vegetables as a treat or fruits, that's fine, with the caveat that ALDs are prone to ear infections. ALDs and ear infections come from yeast. Bless you.
Excuse me.
Fruits and vegetables tend to have a pretty high glycemic index, and yeast loves sugar. So putting things with all the high sugar content into your dog's body lets the yeast grow, which then results in an ear infection or biting paws or being itchy. There's a whole way to combat that. And there are some ALDs who absolutely can't be on the dinners, if you will, of raw food, because all food manufacturers love to put in lots of apples and carrots because they're cheap, they're regularly available year round. However, both of those do have a lot of sugar in them. So then we have to make an adjustment. And if that happens to Tilly, then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. It's, I'd say, probably 1 in every 30-ish of my ALDs that we end up having to change the diet for. And then it's easily managed, but you can definitely give your dog table scraps, by the way. Lots of people ask me about that. As long as there's no grapes, raisins, onions, or any of the other foods that dogs can eat, obviously not chocolate. It's best if you don't give them a martini. They don't do well with that. No marijuana. But if you're having a steak and you got a piece of steak you want to give your dog, by all means, go for it. Not the bone if you're eating a T-bone or something. If you got a bank loan to afford the T-bone, that is. If I'm going to have a T-bone, I'm not sharing it. But and if you don't like your dog mooching around at the table, don't give it to them at the table. So Ripple is always my example for all bad things because she's mine, and you don't do what I do, just do what I say. So Ripple does jump up on me, and she does get to get things from the table, and she will put her head on my arm, my fork arm, and go, oh, I should have something. So one thing that's really good for them that they love is if you eat prawns, they love the shell from prawns. And there's no reason why they can't eat those. They just think that's the cat's meow. They just absolutely adore that. So my dogs always get, or not always, but pretty much get something from our dinner all the time. I don't ever give them anything though, like the cooked meat or raw meat, like you were suggesting there, other than occasionally if we're having, say, a roast chicken, and it comes with all of everything in it, I'll give them the neck and I'll give them the gizzards and the heart. I will do that from time to time. Lots of people love to give their dogs fruits and vegetables for snacks and treats, and almost always those dogs end up with a yeast problem. You can give them lettuce if you want. Romaine lettuce is really good for them. 9 times out of 10, they'll look at you like, are you out of your mind? I don't want to eat this. You're crazy. Yeah, so for your food thing, everything's going to start coming out on Monday. And when you get your puppy home, if you're having any issues understanding the food box or have any questions about food, of course, just email me. And you can email all the how-to questions to me. If you've got an ordering question, then that goes to Sue at Curated Canines. But anything around actual nutrition, feel free to ask whatever you want to ask me. Everybody okay on all that? I'll do it for time. Good. All right. In your house, when your puppy comes home, remember, roll up all your area rugs and mats. Otherwise, they'll pee on them. Cleaning your floors. A Swiffer is safe for your dogs, and generally is an easy, quick way to clean up a mess. ALDs tend to run as hot dogs, so if your bedroom is a warm place, you may find you need to put a fan in front of your puppy. Sorry, Brenda, you've got a question. Where are you? Here you are.
It was a food question.
Yeah, sure.
What age is it okay to start giving them raw chicken necks?
Oh, they're eating chicken necks now.
Oh,
I
okay.
go home with chicken necks. They absolutely love them. Oh, yes, and thank you for asking that, because one thing I want to point out, when your puppy takes their chicken neck and swallows it whole, do not freak out or think the world is going to end, because it will not. They are perfectly fine swallowing it whole. They will learn to chew it, because we want them to chew it to keep their teeth clean. We don't care so much about their baby teeth because they're falling out, but they get so excited about them that, and because they're used to competition, they will swallow them whole. Occasionally, after they've swallowed them whole, they will throw them up and then they'll eat them again. Just take that image out of your mind and don't worry about it. The reason why they do that is to soften it a bit and make it easier for themselves to eat. It's a totally natural thing to do. Don't freak out, don't have a fit. They're not dying. You don't need to go to emergency. And if they swallow it whole and it stays down, totally okay. Because dogs naturally have a super acidic stomach. That's why they can eat all sorts of disgusting things that would make us sick. When they're on a raw diet, they stay with that naturally high acidic stomach, and that allows the bones to be broken down so they don't get an impaction. And raw bones are not sharp, and especially chicken necks, they're really super soft, so they aren't going to pierce them. If your vet tells you something about raw food, if they're not educated on raw food, and if they tell you that the bones are going to kill them, etc., please don't argue with them or try to convert them. Just say, okay, thank you. I'll keep that in mind and move along. Vets don't learn about nutrition. There is, as far as I know, no certified nutritionist vet in British Columbia. So just keep in mind that they are not a nutritionist, and just tell them your breeder is, so that they know that you're not listening to somebody who doesn't know anything. Okay, so hot dogs. If your puppy seems uncomfortable in their crate, first thing to do is take the crate pad out and let them just sleep on the plastic. Wire crates are absolutely no good, by the way. Do not use a wire crate ever, only plastic. And if they're still fussing around a bit, then just set up a small fan in front of them. They are used to right now sleeping in a very warm room, so I don't think you're going to have an issue, but just in case you do. Peeing and house training. Oops, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
Do we have any problems with cold dogs?
No.
Can they be too cold?
Only if if it's more than -20 or
Okay.
less than -20, I guess we want to say.
So around 0 or just cold, they'll be fine with that.
Yeah, they're fine. So Sally and Tom, I know yesterday, I think it was -24 in Calgary. Today is +6. You guys look like you're somewhere warm. Are you away? Yeah, okay. Yeah, you didn't look very Calgary-ish. Oh, yes, you told me that you were going away, right? So when it's like -24 and snowing, definitely Daisy can go outside. Just look to her for her cues. So she'll pick her paws up like this if her feet are getting too cold. That means it's time to go in. Sally, you had asked at the visit about wearing booties. There's nothing wrong with wearing booties. They're just not essential. When we lived in Alberta, none of our dogs ever had a coat or booties. But if it makes you feel better, then go for it. Just be aware that the booties, they tend to kick off really easily, and they'll walk around like this when they first put them on. The one thing about dogs, though, is if it snows here on the wet coast here, the snow does ball up on their fur really easily. So you just use a wire whisk to get those snowballs out, or dump them in a warm tub. But do you want to set your phones for every 50 minutes to take them out to pee when they're awake? Do that for the first week until you get to learn your particular puppy's routine. I can tell you every one of them pees on a slightly different schedule. these guys are not bad about going outside. They're not the best that we've ever had, but they're pretty good about remembering to go outside. I do remember too that raw fed dogs don't drink very much water. So don't be alarmed if you don't think they're drinking water. They don't poop as much, and their poop will be much darker and much harder than normal. If you see your puppy straining to go poop and you're thinking, oh my gosh, they're constipated, first thing to do is lift the tail up. Oh, there's a million pounds of poo stuck to their bum and they can't poo because they got hairy butts. So that leads me on to grooming. When should you take your puppy to the groomer? So the first trip to the groomer should be to get their eyes trimmed and under their tail done. And you can do that when they're, well, around 14 weeks, anywhere between week 12 and 14. They won't have to stay at the groomer to have that done, so they won't be putting their feet down at the groomer. Again, bring your blanket, you'll stay with them. They'll just get their eyes clipped up and then they'll shave under their tail. When you go to the groomer for the first 6 months of their lives, I would ask for under their tail for a Santa clip so that you don't have that hair there and poop hanging onto it. Because their puppy fur is very soft and it's very thick and poop sticks to it like glue. We wash off, I don't know how many bums a day right now because they get their poop stuck to it. They're also not very tall, so they tend to kind of almost sit in it. Nail trimming every 4 weeks. Right now, you want to trim their nails every week. They're used to it. They've had their paws handled. They're very accustomed to it. If you're not comfortable with it, the groomer or the vet will do it for you. Again, make sure you take your own blanket and keep those nails nice and short. Please do not groom your dog yourself when they're puppies, especially their faces. They wiggle, they squirm. It is so easy to injure your puppy. Let a professional do it at least until they're 6 months old. They'll have their puppy coat for the first 6 months. Ear plucking. This is something we get asked about a lot. If your puppy has really hairy ears and gets an ear infection, then I'm going to tell you that, yeah, you should get their ears plucked. Otherwise, no, you don't want to. How about cleaning their ears? This is a topic that's really a back and forth one. My preference is you don't clean their ears because as soon as you start mucking around in there and you put ear cleaner in, you're putting moisture in their ear and crap in their ear that's not natural. Even if you use a natural ear cleaner, it's not natural to have goop going in your ear. No matter how careful you are, you never get their ear properly dry. If their ear is moist, then what happens? You get bacteria, you get an infection. So preferably, please avoid cleaning their ears. Now, if you look and you see, oh, there's all this wax and glop and crap in there, then just get one of those small makeup pads and clean it off. And then if that's not working, the things I recommend is ear cleaner that you can put your finger in. They're just called finger ear wipes. And then you just go in their ear, don't go too far, and then dry it out right away with, again, one of those round cosmetic pads. Regular brushing and grooming, make sure you have the proper brush and comb for an ALD. If you use the wrong one, your dog will be bald and they will not like you because it will hurt. So make sure if you are not getting the grooming kit from Curated Canines, then it's a Chris Christensen slicker brush that you want for your brush. And it's usually referred to as a greyhound comb for your comb, but Curated Canines has both. I have 2 brushes for my dogs, the regular size slicker brush and a face brush. The face brush is a little smaller. It's really, really good for puppies too. That's what they're getting brushed with now. So every other day, and it's not just brushing your dog. If you brush your dog, they look great, but you have not gone down to their skin. What you need to do is be able to comb your dog every inch of them in both directions without the comb getting caught. That's how you know you don't have any mats. Their face too. They hate having their face done, but they got to have their face done because they end up with all sorts of mats and stuff because they have those cute little fluffy faces, but they do get everything in those fluffy faces that then all gets matted up. Any questions on any of that? Nope, we're good. You'll get treats in your food box. Just be mindful that you don't want to give them so many treats that you give them diarrhea. So just take it easy on the treats. The treats are soft for the most part. So when you get one, it's about like this big. You can divide that into 4. They just need a little smidge, about the size of half of a woman's pinky fingernail. Just little tiny. They just need a taste. They don't need the whole treat. Okay. Oh yes, and for any of you who, when you've been reading through Sophia's book, and she talks about not feeding out of a bowl and earn to learn, that does not work with ALDs. Completely unsuccessful, especially with a raw diet. It's also a big pain in the neck. You can do it with the freeze dried, but this does not work with ALDs. ALDs, unfortunately, no matter how many generations removed we are, absolutely have inherited the poodle pickiness for food, generally speaking. So they're not very food motivated, and you really have to work to get them to happily eat. So you want to have a defined schedule for eating 3 times a day. Don't vary from that schedule. You feed them in the same spot, and you make sure that it's free from distractions. You're nearby, but don't look at them. Don't, make sure you're relaxed. And don't worry if they don't eat. They will not starve themselves, I promise. And if they don't finish what's in their bowl in 10 minutes, pick it up, put it in the fridge, and that's what you get next time until you eat it. If they consistently are leaving food behind in their bowl, then, back it off a bit. Try lessening it by 5%. If they're constantly eating it in 2 seconds and looking at you, increase what you're feeding them. Okay, this will all be in your stuff that you get to. Travel tips. When you're taking your puppy home, puppy on your lap going home. 2 people to pick up. So one can drive and the puppy can be on the other person's lap. Figure out whose lap the puppy is going on so there's no divorces that result from the puppy, or no children grounded for life or anything like that. If you're traveling with children, it's best if one adult sits in the back with whichever child's turn it is to have the puppy, just so you can supervise a bit. Have your children sit on the floor when they're handling the puppy, even when you get home, at least for the first couple of months, until the puppy's a little more reliable and your kids are a little more used to handling a puppy. Don't wear good clothes to come pick up your puppy. Bring a towel, because it's a very nerve-wracking event for them going with someone they don't know. Sometimes they might throw up, sometimes they might have a bit of a pee on you, so just have something to be prepared for that. If you've got a long drive home, ferry ride, long wait for the ferry, this is awesome. This is the best opportunity in a little small environment for your puppy to start smelling you and learning your scent and going, oh, this is my tribe now, not that other person and place over there. By the time you get home, they'll have forgotten who we are anyways. But you want the puppy up in your necks. Please don't wear perfume when you pick your puppy up, or cologne of any type if you're a guy. Get them up in your neck, hold them up here, hold them up really close, because this is where they scent you the most, is right around in this area. So hold them way up here, let them snuggle into you, and just let them start smelling you. Just by virtue of being in your vehicle, all your pheromones and scents are coming out, and they're all absorbing all of those, and it's all going into their little brains. So it's a really good thing if you do have a longer drive home or a wait. Will your puppy need to go out to go to the bathroom on the drive home? Yeah, probably not. Maybe if you're waiting for the ferry, yeah. So you want to be sure you have a pee pad so you can plop that down in the back of your car or out on the ground wherever you're going to stop and let them have a pee. But probably they will hold it and wait till you get home. As soon as you get home, pick them up, take them to their designated pee spot and let them go to the bathroom. Don't go in the house because you'll have a wreck. Again, for sure, no pet areas that you want to go to. And when you do get home, let them run around for a good 10, 20 minutes before you go in the house, even if it's dark and it's night. If it's too cold or rainy or wet on the day you pick them up, I think it's supposed to be raining that day and +5 here. But by the time you get home, if it's kind of yucky, then let them run around in the yard for a bit and then let them have a good run in the house. It's important that you don't give them too much freedom in your house. Like you don't want them to be able to go everywhere in your house. It's best to start with smaller and work out gradually. But when you first get in the door there, just let them have a little bit more space to just get the beans out. If they don't want to run, totally fine. Some of them will just be shut down and just stay still. Others will be like, gotta get it out of my system. So it's just going to be based on each dog. And make sure it's really quiet, calm. If you're traveling home with your kids, remind them that it's really important that you're nice and quiet and calm with the puppy. I don't suggest playing heavy metal music on the way home. Just keep it just nice and peaceful. Sally, when you go through the airport, everybody in the world is going to be in love with you. You will never get so much attention. Everybody will want to pet her. And when you're in the flight bag, when I travel by air with a puppy, I just unzip it a little bit and let people look, but I don't let them touch. I just let them look and say, yes, I know she's the cutest thing on 4 legs. And then when you're in the boarding lounge area, just 4 pee pads on the floor, couple of toys, put her down there, and people can look and say hi to her, but preferably not touch her. Taylor will give you some more tips too. Taylor travels all over the world with puppies. And that's it, you guys. Unless there's something I forgot that you want to ask about, please feel free.
Claire, one quick question, I know you already mentioned this. So if we put in an order to curated canines now, should we email her? There's a little note there where you can say, so we just said, please.
Oh, yes, you can say that you're on the Trailblazers litter.
Okay.
In the notes, so she knows. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have to email her on top of the notes? Okay.
No, she'll know. Usually she just asks me, who's Kristen?
Okay. Okay, we just put in an order. More stuff we thought about.
You can't afford.
Yeah. No, she just lives a few minutes from us, so she's a guardian for Sumac,
Okay.
and we've been friends for a while. And so when we decided we were going to semi-retire, and they first looked at buying the whole thing, the breeding and curated canines, but then I didn't really want to do that. So they sold their house in Victoria and bought a house that we had actually looked at, which is like 10 minutes from here. So they're back and forth all the time. So we hear from one another daily. She's actually coming to look after the other puppies while we take your puppies to the vet this afternoon.
Aw, that's nice.
Yeah, works out really well.
Perfect. Done.
All right, you guys, that's everything. And of course, if something comes up or if you have any questions from the food box emails that are starting to come out later today, then don't hesitate to ask. I have a holiday message on my email, but I will come and answer your questions. I just don't want to talk to anybody else. Just kidding. It's just for more of the other stuff that I don't have to do during the holidays. All right, everybody feel prepared? Yeah, fantastic. All right, we will see most of you on Saturday, and yeah, can't wait. Well, I can. I don't really want them to go, but I know they have to. Okay, you
Thanks,
guys.
Claire.
See you later. Bye. Oh, this thing will go on YouTube as a private video as well, so you can refer back to it if you want to in the future. Bye.